Let's do this. Turn left. Get ready to turn right. Turn right. Go straight on. Keep right, and then continue straight on. Go straight on.
beer. And then jump into bed, absolutely shattered, with a good cup. Jump into electric with £2,000 towards your finance deposit on the new Skoda Enyaq, as well as 0% APR for Solutions PCP. Visit skoda.co.uk or your local retailer. T's and C's apply. Ordered by 20th September, maximum 36-month term. Indemnities may be required. Skoda Financial Services.
Clive Bull on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Good morning, it's LBC. I'm Clive Bull with you through till 4, talking about a number of things, including school uniforms and uniforms generally, and trainers for that matter as well. We'll come on to that in a moment. Here's Alex, though, in Aylesbury. Hello, Alex.
Hi, hello, good morning, Clive. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm very good, and I'm not talking about uniforms. However, I do work for council, and I am a support worker for the council, and I do wear a
then I get to eat food for the rest of the day instead of my classes that I was supposed to attend. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I can hear you're still cross about it now.
Yeah,
And I'm cross on your behalf. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous. All right, good to talk to you, Zach. Thank you very much for that. Philip says, tell Caleb he's welcome to become a Luton Town fan. Plenty of drama, new stadium on the rise under family club. There you go. You can support Luton. Michael says 100% keep school uniforms. They look smart, respectful, no
straight on.
Will you be sure to be done when you come to start? What we're going to do is we're going to have that international debt because this is a problem the Tories have created. And then that's a problem we're not going to handle the public the way George Osborne did and handled it in a form of austerity. Cost about the nation where said, my God, you have fantastic starving people living at home. 3 billion debt, onto national debt, and they're going to find 7 billion in cash.
straight on.
Spacewalk, a billionaire stepping out into space. Well, come on, let's find out more by talking to the space expert and author David Whitehouse, who joins us now. David, first of all, tell us a bit more about the spacewalk.
Well, it was very exciting. It's the first spacewalk by a non-government astronaut because the billionaire Jared bought, actually I think he's bought 3 missions from Elon Musk SpaceX, and each capsule could take a crew of 4. So this is his first mission, Polaris Dawn. He's taken some quite considerably qualified people with him, but they're not astronauts, and they've undergone some training, but not an extensive training mission to be a professional astronaut. And earlier today, the second day of the mission, they opened the hatch, and he and Sarah Gillis put their head out of the hatch and looked at the Earth. They didn't float through. Their feet were still inside the capsule. But the important thing is about this spacewalk is that there was no air. What they had to do is they had to depressurize the whole capsule, which meant the other 2 crew also had to be in the spacesuit, was pressurized up. So technically, they did a spacewalk as well.
But what was that? They didn't actually walk, they sort of just went into space. Yeah.
They were in space, only protected by their spacesuits. And that's a definition of a spacewalk. You don't have to float free of the capsule or scamper around. You just have to be in a spacesuit, just keeping you alive in the vertical space.
And where did this happen?
That's significant because it happened 40 miles away from Earth, because nobody's been that far away from Earth since 1972. And the last
Keep left,
mission
and then continue straight on.
which went to the moon. Every other mission, every space shuttle mission, every Russian
Go straight
mission,
on.
every Chinese mission has been of the order of 200 miles away from Earth. That's where the space station is. Nobody's gone further, but this mission is an elliptic orbit. It's in a polar orbit, which is the first time astronauts have been going around from pole to pole. So it's crossed many historic firsts, this mission. The highest spacewalk, the furthest people have been away from the Earth for over 50 years, and the first polar orbit. So Isaac Asimov getting his money's worth.
So, why are they doing this? Why is it significant? Why are we is there a particular mission behind this?
Well, they've got thermal experiments which they can do, which is, you see, a polar orbit is different from the other space missions in the sense that most space missions, when they fly out of, say, Cape Canaveral, are fired out across the Atlantic. So they go around the Earth, sort of slide out onto the equator. If you want to do, if you're going to the polar orbit, then you go straight up to the North Pole and straight down to the South Pole. And it's a difficult orbit to get into because it has a different performance from a booster. And it's never been done with astronauts before. So they're doing it just because they want to be the first to do it. They've got a certain suite of experiments which they can do, looking at the Earth from the poles and looking at the environment and the experience around there. But a lot of that has been done with unmanned satellites. So if you're a billionaire and you can afford to do this, and it's a first, then I guess you can.
And those spacesuits, I've seen lots of them on, not real ones, but on sci-fi programs. How realistic are they? What's the spacesuit meant to do?
Well, the spacesuit, this is a new design of spacesuit because the spacesuits that are normally in the SpaceX Dragon capsule are not really designed for walking in space, except in an emergency. They're designed to keep the crew alive in case the capsule depressurizes. So this was a new design of spacesuit, a new helmet. A spacesuit, it's designed to keep you supplied with oxygen, with warmth, and also to keep the air pressure at tolerable levels inside it. So it's a portable life support system. And in fact, during the early spacewalks, particularly the first one, Alexei Leonov, the Russian Soviet cosmonaut, his spacesuit was so poorly designed that the pressure inside ballooned, and it sort of went up like a Michelin man, if you like. And he couldn't get back inside the capsule. And that was serious. They actually thought at one stage they might have to cut him free and let him sort of die in space. But he managed to let out enough air for it to deflate, putting himself in some danger in order to scamper back inside the makeshift airlock and back in the capsule. In fact, another American astronaut who did a spacewalk in the 1960s had a similar type of problem. And there was a contingency for the two-man Gemini craft to come back with one man if the other one couldn't get back in the capsule. That wouldn't have happened today because we're much more sophisticated. But there was a question as to when they closed the hatch at the end of the spacewalks, they did have a backup plan if that would not close properly, because that has to close properly so that they can fill the capsule full of air again and take their spacesuits off. If they do not get a proper seal with that door, then they have to stay in their spacesuits and come back straight away, and that would have been a very dangerous manoeuvre. But fortunately, they've got through that.
I've seen at least 2 films where they go outside the spacecraft in their spacesuits, but they're sort of chained on, so they can't beam off into
fact,
space.
That's what only if you look at the spacewalks around the International Space Station, it's like mountaineering. They have carabiners and ropes and ties and tethers, and you must never be untethered if you connect to another part. So, you have to make sure things can fly away in space. The tools are flown away, spanners are flown away, but people haven't, because the rule is you never, ever be untethered. And the only time that's ever been disobeyed, if you like, in a spacewalk is when America had a thing called the Manned Maneuvering Unit, which was like a flying chair, which they were able to go out into space. The first person to do this was Bruce McCandless in 1984. It's a remarkable picture you can still see on the internet of him way off into the distance. And that's the only time that has been done, that an astronaut has been free floating in space, because it's very dangerous. Look, George Clooney and Sandra Bullock did
exactly.
Gravity, didn't they?
Yeah.
Look what happened to them.
And would you class the walking on the moon, is that a spacewalk?
Oh, yes, in a sense it is. It's an extravehicular activity. Now, the moon suits had to be a lot more durable than spacewalking suits, because they've got boots, for instance. You're walking around in moon dust, which is very, very sharp, fine powder. It adheres to the spacesuits. If you look at the pictures of the astronauts on the moon, you can see they're dirty. And when they got back in the capsule, there was moon dust everywhere, and they said it smelled like gunpowder. But it's very abrasive indeed. So the spacesuits that they walked on the moon are much more heavy-duty, much more difficult to operate in than the spacesuits they would say use around the space station for repair. And if you look at what the Apollo astronauts said, that particularly the latter missions where they did 3 long moonwalks, their hands inside these very inflexible gloves were red raw with bruises. And they were really chafed and sore and scratched and scraped by the time they finished these moonwalks, and it was very tough for them.
Could you walk on any other planet's surface?
Yes, you can, actually. Spacesuits have been provisionally designed for Mars. Mars, you still need to breathe because there's no oxygen there. The temperature's a little bit warmer than elsewhere. At midday on Mars, you could get away without a heater, I suppose, but you would suffocate unless you had oxygen to breathe. Of course, the gravity on Mars is partway between here and the Moon. Earth, of course, one gravity. The Moon is a sixth, and Mars is a third. So you'd be heavier on Mars. You could. People say 1/6 gravity is very pleasant. You can move around very efficiently. Although it has to be said, if you're walking around on the Moon, and this would apply to Mars as well, your weight is less. A third on the Moon, six on the Moon, a third on Mars. But your mass is the same. And what that means is that if you're moving, it's much harder to stop because you have the mass associated with your movement without being as heavy as you feel. Takes some getting used to, I'm told.
And this is all private initiative. Both the people doing it and Elon Musk behind it. Is that the future of space travel now? That it's really all about big commercial operations?
It's a bit of both, actually. I think that the fact that billionaires can afford to buy a series of missions and do what they like within the parameters of what's possible is what's going to happen more and more often in the future, because there are a lot of billionaires who've what's $100 million to somebody who's got many, many billions?
And what are you going to spend it on?
And what are you going to spend it on? So there's a market for this, not only in America, but elsewhere as well. And at the moment, there are more billionaires who want to do this than there are opportunities for them to fly. So inevitably, SpaceX or some other company will come along and provide opportunities for them to go into space. Of course, there still will be governments. I mean, when people go back to the moon for the next time in the next few years, that'll still be a government, American and European government initiative. But eventually, if Elon Musk gets his way, his private company SpaceX will go to the moon independently of governments and perhaps go on to Mars. So it's probably a bit early to say when the transition from joyride and adventure ride into serious private exploration of space will take place. But it's likely to be within, I suppose, 15 or 20 years from now.
Interesting. David, thank you very much. David Whitehouse there. More coming up in just a moment on LBC.
Coming up at 4 on LBC, Ian Payne.
The prolific Michael Palin has his latest diaries published this month. Do you keep a diary? Did you? I did. It was so dull.
Ian Payne on LBC.
Welcome to World Class with Singapore Airlines. Depart from London Gatwick to Singapore, where you can seamlessly connect to destinations across Asia, Australia and New Zealand. Fly to Asia from just £582 return, or Australasia from just £877 return. T's and C's apply. Book now at singaporeair.com.
A traffic update for all late-night travellers. There are delays outside getting to bed due to a hold-up at Grand's Never-Ending Stories. Please take the diversion via Mayo Chicken or a warming latte, which will see you home. Plenty of McDonald's restaurants are open late tonight. See mcdonalds.com for opening times.
Hello, you. It's a bit unsettling when high household bills are coming at you from all angles. From here, over here, here, and don't forget up here. At USwitch, our experts fight for fairer prices so you could switch, save money and get back in control. That's why more people come to us to find their energy, broadband and mobile deals than any other site. USwitch. We put you first. Verify at uswitch.com/verify.
For whoever they want to be in life, give them a great start with Well Kid. Carefully balanced, great-tasting vitamins and minerals for 4 to 12-year-olds with specific nutrients such as zinc and vitamin D, which support normal immune system function. The Well Kid range from Vitabiotics, from Boots, pharmacies and vitabiotics.com.
This is LBC, leading Britain's conversation with Clive Bull.
And let's squeeze in a couple more calls if we can before 4. And Sandra's in Chertsey. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, Clive. I think I'm rocking the boat a bit slightly because your producer was a little bit worried that I was introducing an adult uniform, but I passed the audition. The general consensus was I could come on.
Excellent.
I wore a uniform, of course, but well, not of course, but I went to a convent, and my overriding thought is that I went in the days of the full habit, you know, the wimples, the black, the long dress, and I never realised it's got a glamour to it, because now, at least the Salesian order, who are no longer in Chertsey, they've come up to Endell or Orwell Street in York, London, and it's really dumbed down. It's anorak dresses, and you know, so you've lost the glamour of the full habit, which to me, I'm extremely glad. I'm so glad I went to school when that was it. I have heard women say, oh, they found it quite frightening, or not immediately to me, but just, you know, the consensus. But to me, and I said to a nun once, said they gradually started getting shorter, the skirts, and asked what I thought about it. And one day I said to one nun, I don't know if I wasn't so keen, and she said, well, you don't still wear your school boat, a hat, whatever. But I think that's a very, you know, I don't know if there's any other orders that are still wearing a full habit.
No, but you actually had to wear a full outfit when you were...
No, I wasn't a nun. I mean, I was a pupil.
You were a pupil, so what were the pupils wearing?
Oh, a traditional uniform, blue and white striped dress in the summer, blazer.
Right.
A boat, and in the winter, a tie. You know, I remember. I could still remember how to tie a tie.
Right, but all the nuns were all in full regalia.
Oh, absolutely. I remember before I was about 5, and my grandmother taking me along because it was on the same road as I lived, and this group of nuns and the impression, you know, and yeah, absolutely. But I never thought of it as being glamorous. But, I mean, it is, because a nun, you can't see their hat, the hair, I meant to say, their legs. It's all completely encompassing, you know.
I know what you mean, Sandra, absolutely. I'm glad we squeezed you in. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to make way for Ian Payne in just a moment. Just got time for one more. It's Gil in Newport. Hello, Gil.
Yeah, the station master is joining the train. Good morning, Clive.
Morning.
Yes, so, are this new government going hard on the seniors because they didn't support them? I don't believe that, to be honest. It's too simplistic, and I credit the great majority anyway of our politicians, with a moral compass that had never stooped to the level of such vindictiveness. It's a matter, I think, of financial expediency. Times haven't got any easier. Government has to raise what it takes one way or another. Hard decisions must be made now, I think. Remember the junior doctors and others screaming for years during the previous administration over pay. These grievances are now settled under Labour, with a political philosophy very different from what came before. So I think under one administration, one group is better off, and under another is worse off. It's like swings and roundabouts, I think, basically, Clive.
Thank you very much. Very philosophical, Gil. Thank you for that. If you missed any of today's show, you can listen back on Catch Up on Global Player, where you can also pause and rewind live radio, as well as listen to a range of podcasts you can download for free from your app store or head to globalplayer.com. I'm back next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday mornings from 1 o'clock. Coming up at 7, it's Weekend Breakfast with Matthew Wright. But right now, here he is. He's back again. It's Ian Payne.
Just for one more day. Do you want to talk about diaries or soap operas?
Soap operas.
Soap operas. So Ross Kemp is returning to EastEnders.
Yes.
40th anniversary. He's going to do a special documentary. He's not going to reappear as Hardman Mitchell.
Yeah.
He played Grant Mitchell in the thing. Why do people not watch soaps anymore, Clive?
Because they're mostly terrible. But
terrible?
But I haven't watched any of them for years, except Neighbours, because it's
Seriously?
sunny and it's funny. Yeah, I love it.
What channel is it on these days?
It's on Amazon.
It's gone round the houses, hasn't it?
It's
that
fantastic,
one?
yeah.
Is it? You love it?
Yeah.
You're definitely a Neighbours person.
Yeah. I enjoy Neighbours. All the rest are rubbish.
All the rest are rubbish. Okay. Well, if you still watch soap operas, I'd like to hear from you, because the audience has fallen off a cliff.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 4 o'clock. It's being reported England could be banned from the European Championship tournament it's due to host. It's believed UEFA has warned ministers plans for a regulator of men's football could amount to government interference. A letter from the organisation's General Secretary to the Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy has been leaked to the media. A Russian security official has warned Ukraine's incursion into the country's Kursk region has given Moscow formal grounds to use nuclear weapons. Dmitry Medvedev's been writing online. Kyiv now claims to control about 500 square miles of the border region. The US and the UK are still to make a decision about Ukraine's request to fire long-range Western missiles into Russia. The journalist Kaylin Robertson is in Odessa and has been telling LBC Ukrainians are concerned concerned relations with NATO could be cooling.
People are realizing here that support is waning, and they're seeing that the West is getting nervous, and they're listening to Putin's threats. And we actually have the ability, Britain and America, to allow Ukraine to win, but we're not.
It's been claimed Keir Starmer may have broken parliamentary rules by failing to declare donations of clothing for his wife. Reports say the gift came from the Labour donor Lord Ali and weren't initially declared in the Register of MPs' interests. Downing Street says after initially thinking all regulations had been followed, further items have been declared. An 18-year-old is due before magistrates tomorrow, charged with murdering 3 people in Bedfordshire. Nicholas Prosper was arrested after they were found at a flat in Luton on Friday morning. LBC's Holly Harris has more details.
Formal identification still hasn't taken place, but it's believed the dead were 48-year-old Juliana Prosper plus Kyle and Giselle Prosper, who were 16 and 13 years old respectively. Nicholas Prosper has also been charged with what police are calling a number of firearms offences. He's due before magistrates on Monday.
4 men are now facing charges after a ton of cocaine was found on a fishing boat off the coast of Cornwall. The National Crime Agency says they'll go before Bodmin magistrates on Monday, following an operation near Newquay on Friday afternoon. And in sport this morning, Europe go into the final day of golf's Solheim Cup, trailing the USA 10-6 overall. The holders will be hoping to overturn the 4-point deficit by winning the majority of the 12 singles matches. LBC weather, a cloudy start for Sunday for northern and central areas and most of Wales. Brighter in the far north of the UK and also the far south, although the northwest could experience some showers. We'll see a high of 20 degrees. From Global's newsroom, for LBC, I'm Tim Daly.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Ian Cave.
Good morning. Yes, here just for an extra day covering for sickness, holidays, who knows what it might be. Anyway, we're in the meat grinder again. It's 3 minutes past 4 o'clock. It's a Sunday. I had to do this a lot last week actually because there were people. One guy actually got out of bed and was halfway dressed for work last Sunday because it was a Monday. I don't know whether you feel relief. Would you feel relief if you found out that you were slightly annoyed that they hadn't told you at the beginning? So, spoiler alert, I'll have to give this spoiler. This is Sunday, and it's September the 15th. We're halfway through September already. I was going to say it's a stupid reason. Since the gang, listeners up to 156 listeners now. Thanks very much to all of you. Thank you very much for listening. And who knows, Julie? My sister's obsessed with streaming. I just don't get it. If you want to talk about streaming, that's fine. But to see poor person, I know fairly. It's fair to say I've worked with quite a bit. To see him wearing that outfit just blew my mind, really. And I haven't seen any moving pictures. I've just seen pictures of him. If you want to talk about streaming, that's fine. There is back. And there's lots of people who want to renovate their careers. No, that's cynical and ridiculous. No, my only thing about story is just there's no kind of it's gush, isn't it? For a really good, you need a nasty Nick. Shep, do you know what I mean by nasty? Shep's in his early band range. Remember the band range for Stubble? 2 times, something like that. Do you remember last week? That's what we got met. They're in for Stubble last week. I don't know why. We're talking that's like we're talking Prince William, whether or not Stubble works or not. So, maybe. Do you know who Nasty Nick was? Have you heard of him? Nasty Nick? No, not Nick Ferrari. We can't get any lower than that. What? No. Nick Bateman, Nasty Nick.
Nasty Nick Bateman. For the record, Nick is a lovely man, our Nick, all right? He's lovely Nick, as opposed to Nasty Nick. Nasty Nick was a character that was... Well, it was a real person, but he played a character on Big Brother. The first really big popular series of Big Brother, which was the really big reality TV show when I was getting up. And the great thing about Big Brother was you had Nasty Nick Bateman, who was trying to win the series by not being thrown out, but by dissembling. The ends justify the means. What was the name of that Italian who said the ends justify the means? I should remember in a minute. Famous Italian from the 16th, 15th century, begins with M. Machiavelli, brilliant. Machiavelli, it's called, he was Machiavellian because the audience saw what he was doing and he was playing a role undermining people, saying, yeah, I love you. And then going in the diary room going,
finding a new route.
Fantastic. And that's why we love Big Brother, because we had this real life kind of craziness that was going on, and it got too crazy because the producers started to force it and say, right, we're going to throw in that, and then we're going to make a little house next door where we eject people, but they stay and then they come back in, and it was like, don't contrive it, just throw people in together, make them really bored and see what happens. And Nasty Nick was the start of it, and that is my thing about Strictly, is just can't quite get all the gushing. Occasionally someone gets a poor mark and you think, yes, that's what it should be about. But it isn't. It's so gushy and everyone's so delightful. And now, as we realise with all the stories that have come out in the last year, perhaps it's not as delightful as we all thought, because, hey, real life is not like that. You may have seen pictures of Sir Ed Davey turning up at the Lib Dem conference on a jet ski. I mean, I don't know what to say about that anymore. I don't know. I mean, obviously, every bit of publicity is great publicity. Great men in the past have said, all publicity is good publicity, and all publicity is, that's right, bad news is what people, who said this? Bad news is what people don't want you to know, and that's news. Good news is just advertising. And it's not completely true, but it's sort of true. And I don't know whether Ed Davey, yes, he's getting a coverage for it, and we'll mention it, but it's a bit like Donald Trump saying they're eating cats and dogs and people's pets. It gets the news headlines, but does it really make you more electable? Shall we say that? I don't know with Sir Ed Davey. I kind of feel, yes, he's making the news, but not so sure. Prince Harry's 40 today. We're going to be talking about that after 5 o'clock. New poll commissioned by the Times, massive poll, saying that the Americans are still in favour of him. On the whole, the biggest number of people who voted in this survey that was done about what we think of Harry and Meghan both in America and here, the biggest majority is don't knows, which I think in brackets probably means don't care. So, but, we care a bit. And I'd be interested to get your thoughts. He gets £8 million today, Harry, because it's part of a trust that was set up by the late Queen Mother. Not bad, is it? £8 million. Jude Law playing Alfie in the Michael Caine remake of the film. He talked about it. He was doing a puff for his latest series on Henry VIII. He was talking about how much weight he's had to put on eating pasta and God knows what, drinking, and just getting huge and fat and finding it very comfortable just being handed out as Henry VIII, having leeches, having magnets put on his legs, because when he was very, very old, he died of, I think it was a syphilis-related disease, and back then, of course,
at the
you just go down the A&E clinic. You have to have maggots put into open sores. Let's just say it didn't end well for Harry, did it? So anyway, that was him. He earned £8 million as Alfie. He was 31. Pretty good. Right, we're talking about two things. We are talking about soap operas.
Exit
really reality television. Why does nobody watch soap operas anymore? So there was slightly naughty headline in a couple of the online newspapers this morning saying, huge EastEnders star set to return. Ross Kemp, who played Grant Mitchell for so many years at the beginning of the soap opera, is going back to EastEnders for the 40th anniversary. I was thinking to myself, that's not back. If he's going back as Grant, which I was amazed because I thought, isn't he moved on from that? You know how actors don't want to be typecast? He doesn't even want to be an
Exit
actor.
now.
He wants to be a filmmaker and taken far more seriously. That's I was thinking, the thing he'll be pleased with is if he gets shot live, because that's the shock value. I mean, when you keep pushing the boundaries, what do you do for the next? It's like the second album syndrome. You've got this fantastic album, like the Killers do their fantastic album, and then never quite follow it up with anything amazing, unlike like the Beatles and the Stones, and that's why there's objects. So I thought to myself, that's a great coup. So he's going back. I can't believe he's doing it. But no, actually, that is slightly over. He's going to voice a documentary that he's going to make about the 40th anniversary, in which he interviews the stars. I saw the puff for it. It was, I believe, the puff for it. His interview. Here we are. He will interview stars, past and present. Ross is joining in celebrations by hosting his own EastEnders documentary. So no, he will interview stars, past and present, about why it's so good and how important it is. Really? Still? EastEnders? Remember a Christmas edition of the EastEnders? Wasn't it? Who shot? What's his name behind the bar? You know, come on. Right back in the day. I'm really dredging here some long memories. What was his name? Dirty Den. Who shot Dirty Den? It was a bit like who shot JR in Dallas, but you guys don't even. Not only do you not remember it, you've never heard of Dallas, have you, Martha? Have you heard of Dallas? Chef, have you heard of Dallas? You've heard of Dallas. Clive Bull talks about my name. Have a listener. We found it. Listener. Well done. It's Aaron on a Sunday, by the way. Very excited. Grand Prix today. Although Lando is 16th on the grid because of yellow flags. Because that's not fair. I was debating with him what they should do to make qualifying fair. Someone just start first. We don't have other cars on the track. Each person starts at the beginning. Off you go. Green light. Finish. Find out how fast you go. And what happens if it rains? That's a good point. Anyway, we're still trying to fight our way through it. So, what was I talking about before then? I was talking about Dirty Den, wasn't I? So Dirty Den shot back in the day, as is JR, who shot JR, and Bobby in the shower. Have you heard about Bobby in the shower? Bobby in the shower. Bobby was a character in Dallas, which was like the ultimate manipulation of a plot. So Bobby was in the. So what happened was, like, this character or this actor decided he didn't want to be in the anymore, and he was killed off. And then 3 series later, he realised he wasn't getting any work, so he came back to Dallas. And how did they explain his mystery disappearance for 2 years or 2 series? His wife heard him in the shower, opened the door, and it had all been a dream. For 2 series, it had all been a dream. So there's a metaphor there about, you know, like Brexit. Can't we just wake up like Bobby's wife, Pamela, and just go, it didn't really happen, did it? No, Bobby's in the shower. Brexit didn't really happen. Speaking of which, at 6 o'clock, we get this. Speaking of Brexit. So last night, the proms last night went very well. You know, didn't think anything of it. Had this new soprano, apparently, who was very kind of light-hearted. She was wearing a Union Jack Jester's hat, and she was very kind of cheeky, and everyone was falling in love with her, and she was making those kind of classical music humour. It's different. It's not quite the same as ours, but it's different. Anyway, so she was doing this last night, but we've got a story at 6 o'clock. Anyone who walked into the proms last night with a European EU flag, the gold stars, had them confiscated. Can you believe it? What? Martha's shaking her head. Not. Oh, you sure? They were being. You've got video proof. What's your friends were there? Oh, right. So they understand last night in the proms humour. Do they? You've worked in classical music for 2 years. Oh no! Oh no!
I'll find a new
route. Are you going to come in here at 6 o'clock and tell us about the proms? No, you're not. All right, fine. See what you see? She's another Finn. She's like Finn Mark 2. You worked on classical music. You must do. I would have thought so. And that's no. Yeah, it's not going to hold on to Martha, does it? Frankly. So, last night in the proms, there were some flags being flown by the tension and a bit of grey. Okay, that's fine, but don't let it get in the way of our story, please. 36 o'clock. So, two stories for you between now and 5 o'clock. One is soap opera. So, with Ross Camp not actually making a comeback, we've overwritten it a bit too. But with Ross Camp returning to EastEnders' 40th anniversary with a documentary about it, why have those producers, like I said, the Dirty Den, shot Dirty Den, or who did the Dirty Old Den, or whatever it was back in the day, 22.3 million people watched the Christmas episode, and the debut, 22 million people. That's World Cup England in semi-final time audience figures. Unheard. Latest figures, less than Nick Ferrari. Fathers, again, 1.8, sometimes 2 million, something like that. What's happening? So nobody watches real telly anymore, which is why these junk food ads that Keir Starmer's been going on about, absolutely ridiculous. Kids, this idea that kids are watching TV like they used to watch, Magpie and Peter back in the day. Kids glued to the television because they would watch Box at 8 o'clock. They don't watch television. What are you talking about? Banned junk food.
Keep right,
and
then exit right.
But banning junk food ads on television. Kids are watching television.
Exit right.
Watching on demand on their phones and tablets. Nobody watches television anymore. They're on phones like it's so out of touch. See, there's a rebellion against it. There's also a rebellion against the smoking outside bans. They're getting quite busy, aren't they? It's like this football regulator story. Why are politicians getting... Sorry, Lisa, I like what she says most of the time, but it's football regulators to leave it alone. And now, the UEFA, the governing body of European football, has said even though you're part hosting the Euros in 2028, you'll be banned from it if you continue with the football regulator theme. Why do you need a football? Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. It's got nothing to do with you, football. You'll only ruin it. It's 18 minutes past 4.
LBC. We all crave more. More freedom for adventures. More room for tools. More comfort for long drives. Whether you're conquering mountains or everyday life, more is, well, more. At the Volkswagen Commercial Vehicle Stock Sales event this September, you can get more with an extra £750 off new stock vans, including the hard-working Transporter 6.1 and the adventurous California camper van. Discover more at volkswagen-vans.co.uk/sale. UK retail customers 18+. Discount applies to on-the-road or manufacturer's direct price of new stock vehicles only. Ordered and delivered by September 30th at participating van centres.
Great tasting coffee shouldn't cost a fortune. That's why McCafe coffees are made with 100% Arabica beans and fresh organic milk and start from only $1.39. Great value and great taste. Only at McDonald's. Prices not applicable on delivery orders. Prices for regular size only. Price of participation may vary across restaurants, subject to availability.
This is LBC with Ian Payne. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
So we have two topics currently spinning on plates on the stage at the moment. One is soap operas. This is because it's a slightly overwritten story saying that Grant Mitchell is back. Well, not really. Ross Kemp, the actor who played him, is to return to EastEnders in the 40th anniversary special that they're doing live from Elstree Studios. I don't know when that will be. He's making, because he's a documentary filmmaker now, and he's made a documentary about it. It's described as, I love all the puff they give. Ross, this is a source, told whoever had this interview, The Sun, Ross is joining in celebrations by hosting his own EastEnders documentary. He'll interview stars past and present about why it's so good and how important it is. Well, maybe not as much as it was. Why does nobody watch soap operas anymore? Let's have a look here. Top of the Pots was at 7:30, actually, says Dominic in Reading. It may be a weekend, but the pedants are still out. You're absolutely right. Was it 7:30? 7:30 it was. Ian Payne's been taken over by Classic FM. I certainly have. We have Finn and now Agent Martha. Well, I know, but I feel that you have, Martha. It feels like you have. It feels like you're being dragged away to the world you love rather than the world that feeds you. Do I make myself clear? All right? Morning, Ian. When I was a London cabbie, says Cliff, I cabbed Edward Fox, who starred in the original Day of the Jackal in 1973. The film, yeah, I know. His fee was 645 quid. Was it? It's not quite Jude Law, is it, in Alfie? Blimey. And the Daily John, I don't know if you listen to this programme at this time in the morning, but we have the Daily Poison from Andrew. I don't think he's up yet. Morning, Andy. And the Daily John. Now, John is an interesting character, very interesting. He's from Carlisle, and he writes messages that nobody understands. And if you do understand it, please enlighten me. It's denser than Paradise Lost. Okay, here we go. Ready? Once a stimulus search process, thought, in turn activating muscles attempting to stop it succeeds, then the involved neuronal pathway becomes fixed for faster reuse until failure occurs and another search must occur. Simple, eh? That's John in Carlisle. Even the most intelligent minds with neural activity in the country, like Shep, who's doing Mandarin at university, look foggy. Any idea what that meant? Nobody has a clue. Sanjeev says, too much other choice now. Of course there are. That's the point. That's what I said about junk food ads on the television. Are you serious about banning it? Nobody's watching television anymore. You can't do it on TikTok. We'll do that next. Too much other choice, says Sanjeev. One thing that this generation should be commended on is that they see EastEnders as rubbish. Every character is such a sad, dysfunctional life. say nice things, fine, but if they're not, but what you find is that people ring you up, so I've seen this in the paper, so, you know, being high profile is a pretty horrible thing, I think. I don't know, but that's why radio's so lovely. It matters, but not to the same extent as the lunacy on Saturday night television. So Michael Palin's latest diary is out, which I have already ordered online, and so I'm in the queue for it. Not the audio books, but he writes stuff about Python, about Pythons, what they're like now. He's fairly generous about them all. Talks about Graham Chapman, who's no longer with us, of course, and Terry Jones, who's no longer with us. It's quite funny about Terry Jones. Terry Jones, like Michael Palin, had been with his wife for years and years and years and years. And then suddenly, in his later years, I think before dementia set in, he married a 21-year-old Swedish girl. And the Pythons were a little taken aback. He says that the Pythons' love lives are fairly tangled. John Cleese being the most entangled. He's had 4 or 5 wives now. He did one-man tour because he had to earn money to pay the alimony to someone and come back. Michael Palin said to him,
Tuesday claimed Keir Starmer may have broken parliamentary rules by failing to declare donations of clothing for his wife. Downing Street says after initially thinking all regulations had been followed, further items have been declared. And 4 men are now facing charges after a ton of cocaine was found on a fishing boat off the coast of Newquay. The National Crime Agency says they'll go before magistrates on Monday. LBC weather, a cloudy start to Sunday for northern and central England, plus western Wales. Rising and found far south of the UK. Northwest will also experience some showers.
Get ready for drivers.
This is LBC.
During the Air France rendezvous, take advantage of great offers. Until the 19th of September, book your flight to Dubai for £419 or Beijing for £429 from London via Paris, return including tax. Fly with Air France, voted Western Europe's best airline for the 4th year running by Skytrax. Elegance is a journey. Air France. To book and for terms and conditions, visit airfrance.co.uk.
A traffic update for all late-night travellers. There are delays outside getting to bed due to a hold-up at Grand's never-ending stories. Please take the diversion via Mayor Chicken or Latte, which will see you. Plenty of McDonald's restaurants are open late tonight. Golf.com for opening times.
Whoever they want to learn of, give them a great start with Well Kid. Carefully balanced, great-tasting vitamins and minerals for 4 to 12-year-olds with specific nutrients such as zinc and vitamin D, which support normal immune system function. The Well Kid range from Vitibiotics, from foods, pharmacies, and vitibiotics.com.
Hello, you. It's a bit unsettling when high household bills are coming at you from all angles. Here, over here, here, and don't forget up here. At Uswitch, our experts fight for fairer prices so you can switch, save money, and get back in control. That's why more people come to us to find their energy, broadband, and mobile deals than any other site. Uswitch, we put you first. Verify at uswitch.com/verify.
Ian Claim on LBC. Call 0345 6060
So, we're talking about writing in diaries. Strangely, I don't know if people do it anymore because of the digital age. Do they use voice diaries now? I used to laboriously longhand my days. So from about the age of 12 to 22. I probably detailed everything that went on. There was a whole page. It took ages. I then it wasn't very interesting. I wasn't a very interesting person. I wasn't very interesting now. It was, back in the day, it was just like, we'll see what happens. But, so I was trying to think of famous diary writers that I know. Diary writer. Anyway, I'm trying to think if you can think of some more and which are worth reading. So, obviously, Samuel Pepys and Adrian Mole. And I kind of finished there, to be honest. If you've got any other great diary writers, I'd love to hear from you. Diarists, so very good. Is that, yeah, diarists. So I'm talking about Martin Payne, because they are funny, but they're more, he's not like John Cleese, he's always trying to be funny. He's actually, because of his travel shows and everything, some people don't even remember him as a comedian, they just think of him as a presenter going round the world. I didn't realise this. I read an interview with him yesterday, and he was saying he fell out with the BBC. I didn't realise that his latest stuff wasn't done on the BBC. It was done on Channel 5.
Go straight on.
BBC tends to be more watched, doesn't it, than Channel 5? So that was a shame. Apparently he fell out because, this is absolute classic, he did a piece about the Balkans. He went touring in the Balkans. What Michael Palin did so brilliantly in his travel programmes was he didn't take a political view about it. He went to Nigeria. He didn't say it was full of chaos. He went to Ethiopia. He didn't say, there's starvation here and there's war going on and all the rest. He just sort of said, here I am in Addis Ababa or Addis Ababa, whatever you prefer, and this is what's happening around me, and that's why that's a billionaire, and then look at those people there, and look at the food they're eating. And it was a much more... So he didn't tend to get involved in the politics of things. However, he did fall out with the BBC because he made a piece about the Balkans, and he sort of simplified it. He didn't get into the politics of, you know, Montenegro and Serbia and Croatia and, the Muslim communities who lived there. Because it's too complicated and it really, you know, everyone's got a different opinion on it. So he did it, and he did it in quite a kind of simple way. And this is classic, one viewer complained to the BBC or Ofcom about it, and this is the thing about Ofcom, it's just one complaint and they have to be investigated. So they investigated it, and the BBC Trust found him guilty of, quote, oversimplifying the Balkan situation. I mean, can you imagine anything more daft than that? Now, poor old Michael Palin gets I didn't even know this, it didn't really make the news, but to him it did. Being a very sensitive man, that really hurt. And he fell out with the BBC, didn't do any more, and it's like David Attenborough falling out because he said, you know, that's developed from sheep. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, for God's sake, so it's not that important. Anyway, so here's my last review. In not a good guy, yes, a nice one. I've never read it. Anyone next to me? Red time in bed? No, nothing. Alright. So tell me about good diaries that one should read, and I'm more interested to know about you. If you've written a diary. So Michael Palin, very prolific. His latest diaries are coming out. I think it's officially September the 26th, but anyway, we're all there waiting in the queue for them, because I love this stuff. So here is Michael Palin, Saint of Britain, reading The Last of the Schoolboy Diaries.
March 1957. Didn't keep the diary for quite as long, just up to April. But here we are, the flavour of schoolboy life. At the time I would be 13, anyway. Went to school early on bus. This is Friday, 29th of March. Did PT in empty swimming bath. I remember that. It was so short of space they went to the swimming pool. Winter for us to do exercise. PT. Dissected rat in science. Dissected rat. V smelly. Did general test. Got 72.5% rankings on the toilet. Played bridge on Cornelia, went home with Eve. Daddy went to bed with Eve. My phone was about listened to Take It From Here. Rufus had 3 teeth out like gas. Red. So I took everyone you saw what was going on at the television shows. 30th of March 1957. Got up early, went to school on bus. Played in gym with Willie. That means my friend was called. We did not get beaten. Went to school class, went up to rugby. Did not score, tried. Sorry. Did not score, tried.
So, yeah, those diaries were like the ones I wrote. You know, just 4-word sentences. I did this with maybe other friends are available, whatever. And that's what my diary was like. And I'm often interested to know what it would be like if I'd been older when I wrote the diary, because it would have been a lot more thoughtful. It would have been a lot more about how I'm feeling, how relationships are going, rather than schoolboy stuff, which is just played rugby, saw Heath, got left home kind of thing. And it sounds like the sort of school that I went to. I'm pretty sure his later diaries will entertain you a little bit, to be honest, particularly for the life of kids. So, do you or have you ever written a diary? So I did it for about 10 years. I was very prolific. It wasn't very interesting. That was the sad thing about it. So I stopped because it became a chore. Okay, so we have 8 famous diarists with their diaries. Number 1, the diary of a I think that was this Sylvia Plath, an American poet, journalist, and novelist from the 1960s. She was also known as Victoria Lucas. She kept her journals from age 11 through her death at 30. I think it's fair to say Sylvia Plath, genius, perhaps thought too much about stuff. I think. Number 3, The Reagan Diaries by Ronald Reagan. I didn't know about these. Ronald Reagan was the 40th US president. During his 2 terms as president, he kept a daily diary by hand, recording his thoughts and observations on the extraordinary, the historic, and the routine day-to-day occurrences of his presidency. I confess, I haven't read. Like I said before about reality television, I'm not really a constricted person because it doesn't have the bad characters in it that it should have. If you need a good novel, you need some bad. Ask Dickens, you need some bad people to initiate the next piece of the plot. You see, they can't all be saints, can they? They've got to be hidden secrets and people doing the dirty on people and all the rest of it. So I sometimes wonder with public figures, and I'm afraid it's the same. So I read Hillary Clinton book. I was the person that did read the Hillary Clinton book. I know I had a big clear out of all my books yesterday. I was thinking, should I say this one? Maybe I get absolutely slaughtered. You have no filter in it, just do what comes into your head. So I'll talk about why I got rid of my books yesterday. Some people regard that as killing the family pet, but it wasn't that bad. I got away with it. I feel okay. So I just feel sometimes that with books and the Mrs. Clinton one, there's just no reference to the stuff that, was her husband and when he was president, being a little bit naughty, well, a bit naughty. There wasn't really any of that. It was just so anodyne and so boring, and you can see why people thought, I'm not sure if there doesn't seem to be much kind of humour there, or it's very intense and very serious and very kind of just so boring about Donald Trump. Well, Civil War Diary of a Southern. I tell you what, it's these diaries, blimey. Any funny ones out there? Do you or have you ever written a diary? This is because the diaries, the latest diaries, written and on audio books if you want them, voiced by Michael Palin, are out, and I'm in the queue for them when they come out this month. Have you ever read a diary or written a diary? What's a good diary that you would recommend? And I would still write a diary. What do you put in it? Why? What are you going to do with it? Will it get discovered? You see, you can write a diary. I was thinking of getting older. You write a diary, you say what really honestly happened in your life. Then your kids get hold of them when they find them in the attic after you've gone and think, you complete scumbag. See what I mean? It's 4:45.
Nick for Murray at breakfast on LBC. After 7 failed attempts to enter Parliament, this man is finally an MP. Does the Prime Minister understand? There is a growing feeling of anger in this country against people through two-tier policing. Following his success in the general election, former UK leader Nigel Farage is back in the studio to take your calls in an LBC exclusive. Plus, as we enter the final 50 days before the presidential election in the US, we'll have the latest on the battle for the White House. Nick for Murray at breakfast. Back tomorrow morning from 7.
With Betfair, where odds move faster than polls. Play responsibly.
LBC.
When Andre sold his car on finance with Motorway, he got more money. He then put that extra money into tickets to follow his team around the country. Selling on Motorway was completely stress-free, which is more than I can say about being a supporter of. Sell your car the whole money way. We're 84% sold for Motorway. Validated against 2 independent sources. Visit motorway.co.uk/claims.
Hello, you. It's a bit unsettling when high household bills are coming at you from all angles. From here, over here, here, and don't forget up here. At USwitch, our experts fight for fairer prices so you can switch, save money, and get back in control. That's why more people come to us to find their energy, broadband, and mobile deals than any other site. USwitch. We put you first. Verify at uswitch.com/verify.
For whoever they want to be in life, give Give them a great start with Well Kid. Carefully balanced, great-tasting vitamins and minerals for 4 to 12-year-olds with specific nutrients such as zinc and vitamin D, which support normal immune system function. The Well Kid range from Vitabiotics, from Boots, pharmacies and vitabiotics.com.
Good evening, night workers. This is the last train home, calling us to job well done and ready for bed via 6 McNuggets or a warm apple pie. Our final destination, as always, is home. Plenty of McDonald's restaurants are open late tonight. See McDonald's.com for opening times.
This is LBC. Message Ian Payne on WhatsApp now on 0345 6060 973.
We're talking about people who write diaries. I did it for 10 years as a child and as a student, and it was a job done. It was pretty banal stuff, and a bit like some of the early Michael Creed stuff, and those later stuff was much more interesting. So I like his latest diaries. I'm just wondering, do you like people who write diaries? Do you read them? Do you want to write them? I've had books before I go to sleep, so over the years I've and I'm never somebody who gloats and glorifies the fact that look at all the, those people who appear on Zoom on television when they're being interviewed and they've got a full bookcase behind them as if to say, look at me, aren't I literary? I'm not really like that. I just find them a clutter pleasure, gather dust literally. So yes, I like to it's rather an extreme decision to get rid of it. I should have taken it out of my charity shop. I feel guilty about it, but I can only be me. And I literally took them down to the place where all our dustbins are in the block of flats. But I piled them up nicely as if to say, help yourself. These are for anybody who wants to help themselves. I took an old bicycle down there the other day, hoping someone would nick it, but it's so no one's even done. I left it unlocked, and it still won't be. No one will take it. But I'm hoping that the ones will actually, and if they don't, I'll put a little sign up saying, please help yourself. Because they're all, there's loads of them. I realise that I just don't want to read them. There's so many other ones that I really want to read. I'm always ordering them. Love reading them. And then in the newsroom you get loads of books that are left lying around by people who are trying to sell them to you. So their publishers will make them themselves in some cases will actually send you a book just to say, please read this chapter, right? And please tell me what you think about it when you shop. And invariably they don't, because they're very political books. They're books that really read that much, like, any political figure who comes along, there's always a plethora of books about. They tend to be very serious, very political, and often fairly niche, shall we say. How did the economy get like this? That kind of book. Maybe, and it's still only one. It's one person's view, isn't it? Speaking of which, it's Harry's birthday today. It's Harry's 40. And so's Oliver Stone. He's 78 today. And I only mention it because, A, we're doing Harry, talking about Harry after 5 o'clock. But someone said to me that we were doing the Ukraine story on Thursday or Friday last week, can't remember. And I was saying there's a really interesting documentary about the revolution, uprising, protests in 2014, which kicked all this off. And someone said, you need to watch the other side. Why Russia are doing it? Because, they're fully entitled to. So Oliver Stone has made this film. It's called Ukraine on Fire. I thought, well, I'll watch it. So I think I'll watch
Keep
it.
right.
And basically,
Exit right.
it's quite boring. For most of it is just a kind of
Exit right.
a history of Nazism in Ukraine from before the Second World War.
Turn right.
Yeah, they had some very dodgy people. They had Jew exterminators who lived in there because they were part of the kind of Nazi belief. They weren't running the country or needing therefore to be invaded. It was all very kind of old history, etc. It has great quote from Putin. I never realised he said this. Russia's wars don't end anymore. He said he just has this view, and Ukraine on fire tries to justify the invasion by looking at the history of the place rather than the fact that still thinks of himself as it's the empire, isn't he? Because Russia is the world. I think it's a strange idea, and that's why it's sort of I'm fascinated by some of the things they say. Have we crossed another red line if we send these missiles into Russia, help the Ukrainians to do it? Well, then will that mean the nuclear threat will be realised? Anyway, what was I saying? Diaries. Do you keep a diary? Have you ever kept a diary? If so, what's in it? And if not, why haven't you? Here's one from the Hitler diaries. Okay, that'll be right. They were published in a German paper, and excerpts were published in the Times in 1983. Good memory, Bobby. It was all a forgery. Heard of the Hitler diaries? Yes, Martha. The Hitler diaries. A bit vague. Have we heard of the Hitler diaries at the Times?
At the roundabout,
The comedian's
take the first
diaries.
exit.
Waspish. Yes, that's the word. They are brilliant. Witty, funny, touching,
Exit now.
and waspish. Yes, I would definitely do that. Occupiers will steal it. No, I want someone to steal it. That's the point. The chain's gone. I've got a new bike. I don't need it. And there's that text here from Sally in Kingston. I've written a diary every day since I was 14, and I'm now 63. They're all sitting in a huge couch in my bedroom. I sometimes feel sorry for my children when I'm gone. There are
Turn
some
left.
of those things that you don't really talk about, but you do think about a lot, and that is when you have an elderly relative or a loved one, and you go to their house and you just think, this is good.
Turn left.
Oh dear, I will. She was watching women's sport yesterday. I rang her up and said,
It's all over.
I said, are you serious? She went, no, what can I watch? I said, well, there's loads of great women's sport on today. She said, what is it? I said, well, you always watch the tennis, but there's the golf, which is the Solheim Cup. She went, right. And I said, there's the women's rugby. England against New Zealand. The Red Roses. Called England. How can you call it England? Anyway, I have to call it the Red Roses and the Black Ferns, apparently. There's the Silver Ferns and the boys in New Zealand. You can't call them that. No one's allowed that. But they still do the haka. Very odd. So she plumped for the Solheim Cup. I shall find out today whether she remembers any of it, to be honest. But it was nice that she asked. Here's Andy in Bolton, me old friend. What have you got for me?
I've more or less kept diaries. I've moved around a bit, but yeah, the Michael. I mean, if you look back, can I ask you a question? I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not going to catch you.
Go on, be straight.
Right. So you know about the war, and you know about what Hitler did to the Jews. Can I ask you, who did he gas and kill before he killed the Jews that we were not told about? Who did
Would it be gays? Would it be Romany travellers?
Listen, the gypsies. I've got gypsy friends, right?
Right.
First people that Hitler, shut up and I'll educate you, right?
Go on then.
The first people that Hitler killed, if you go into the library or a book, forget looking on the internet.
No, come on. No, on you go.
He was building a super race.
Right.
We had a good, right? He was building a super race.
Yeah.
We have a German friend, which sadly I lost contact with. Her parents, he gassed all the infirm, all the mentally ill.
Yeah.
Anybody, these, I tried to explain to these.
No, he was a Nietzschean. He believed in, Now,
if you look at what's happening now,
Ubermensch.
I'm not being, listen, I don't want to worry anybody, right? Don't want to worry anybody. It's just my view. Look at this thing about he got rid of the old, the infirm. Anybody at all.
Where's the point? What's the point, Andy?
Well, imagine if we hadn't, imagine if we hadn't found Anne Frank's diary. And I'll tell you another thing. Just before I go on, I'm not in a serious mood. I'm just chilling out.
Well, you're sounding quite serious to me,
right,
doing the Hitler thing. But hey,
listen. My grandfather was in the D-Day landings, and he survived.
Uh-huh.
And there's a great film, and I can't think what it's called and what it is. It's in the death camps, you know. Now, believe it or not, there was an amnesty. So they allowed, when the Germans tried to give the world, you go into the death camps and they'd see these Jewish people playing classic music that I couldn't play, and they were artists, yeah?
Yeah.
And when they went in, they showed these people and all these happy Jewish and prisoners, but when the Germans had gone away, they hid, they drew pictures, because they didn't have cameras, and of course when the war ended, I don't know if you know, but when the Americans arrived and us lot, they tried to destroy all the evidence without.
Time to hit the road.
I mean,
what's the point, Andy?
The point is, my ultimate book, and I've never found it yet.
Right.
There is one or two round here going at the moment. I want to find a book in a junk shop from somebody that live round here with their own neutral point of view, and that is why they keep diaries.
Right.
I cannot believe. I'll tell you what, put it this way. You take it, like on my birth certificate, I've not got it with me. It says where I was born.
Yeah, good.
Lancashire. Yeah. That was on my birth in 1974.
It's not in Lancashire anymore, is it, Bolton?
No, yes, I'm still in Lancashire. I don't give a damn.
Turn right.
Skelly on Merseyside. Andy, I've got to go, mate. It's coming. I love it when you're on.
Go straight on.
A little bit early to try and get all the information through. There we go. Thank you very much indeed for everyone who's got in touch about diaries. I didn't even have time for some of the more famous ones like George Orwell. We managed to get through Lewis Carroll, Samuel Pepys, and Frank, Barbara Castle. Scott of the Antarctic,
Turn
I think,
right.
wrote one. And James Boswell, I don't know who that is, to be honest. Right. Harry the Prince is 40 years old today, and his wife, as a present,
Finally,
has
we are
apparently sorted out a holiday for him and some lads. I think they're going skiing or something before the new documentary he's making on polo comes out. Huge survey on him as to whether people like him or not. Let's start with that. Do you like Prince Harry?
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 5 o'clock, voting ends today on a proposal to end strikes by junior doctors in England. Ministers have put forward a 22.3% pay rise.